2020. And this is John Lee with the St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association. We are happy to have Kathy Davis here for our weekly update to see what's going on in our, I guess, our Tri-County area is what we're actually looking at now, but St. Louis in particular. So good to see you, Kathy.
Good to see you too. And I have Chris with me as well today.
Oh, good.
It's been kind of a busy week and he might have updates that I haven't heard yet. Christine is, her phone died, her cell phone died. So she's at the cell phone store.
Oh, no.
Calling me up with questions like, what's our password? Which I never remember. So hopefully she has successfully been able to break into our account to purchase something.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know why these places want to make it so hard for you to buy something from them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So our writ was denied. It was a one sentence denial by the Missouri Supreme Court. Again, I think it was very well drafted. Greg Anderson did an amazing job. I think John has it posted on your website if anybody wants to review it. And I think it was legally sound, but this is just not the good time to try to be challenging restrictions. I also sent John, the Judge Burton, St. Louis County presiding judge, I sent him the phase announcement that Judge Burton issued the day after Thanksgiving, keeping the county at phase 0. And rather than the long analytical, statistical 3-page phase announcements he's been making, this is just 1 page. And I think you can tell from reading it that he's really gotten kind of fed up with anti-maskers and, people who are protesting any measures that anyone can take to reduce the spread of the virus. And I think that it's been very stressful over at the courthouse. There's judges that now have gotten COVID and clerks, in addition to the sheriff who sadly died earlier this year. So I think that he's like I said, I talked to him a lot. He's a very nice man, but I think he's at his wit's end right now. I guess, the good news that we've had is vaccine news. And I wanted to tell you something that you might find interesting. It's not really legal, but I got asked to participate in a vaccine trial for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And I did that on Tuesday. Unfortunately, I'm not having any vaccine side effects like swelling or a fever or, a soreness in my arm or anything. So I think I might have gotten the placebo. But either way, I'm hoping that this moves this effort forward. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a one-shot vaccine that doesn't require special freezers. So it might be easy to distribute. And I feel like the more of these we can get out there in the world, the better off we're all going to be. And I am familiar with the talc lawsuits, but I think this has nothing to do with that. So hopefully this Johnson & Johnson vaccine will come to us soon. It's in phase 3. And I think that they are hoping to have their studies concluded and the vaccine released, soon. So the more the merrier on that. I don't have much else to say that's new about the courts. I feel like everybody's in phase 0, but Chris might know more than I do at that. The county definitely is, and it looks like they're going to stay there for a while. The federal courts have gone to only remote appearances, except for certain specific things. There are some specific things that you can still get an in-person appearance on, but they're not anything that has anything to do with us. They're more things that have to do with rights and safety of, children or domestic abuse and, that kind of thing. And even most of those are being done remotely now. All of our judges, all of our main judges in the city and the county that we appear in front of very regularly are getting ready to shift responsibilities at the end of the year, and we'll be getting new judges. We're pleased with the new judges that we're going to get. One of them is the judge in the county that we're going to get is new to the bench. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does as well as Judge Lassiter did, adapting to the remote hearings and everything. But I think that he will. He's an experienced practitioner. Judge Medler, and we're getting an experienced judge in the city who's been on the bench for a few years and has done other things remote. So hopefully that should all be good. What else do we have to say? I personally will be glad to get back in court in person when it's safe. I tried a big hearing a couple of weeks ago with a bunch of witnesses and a bunch of lawyers and a Vietnamese interpreter, and it went all day. And I've just realized how much that in person, body language and subtle cues and everything are kind of lost on a big Zoom call. So I hope that we're doing that soon. I can tell you that our other work, our circuit evictions and foreclosures and that kind of thing, are pretty much all proceeding. Um, Again, I think I've said this before. I don't think we're going to see jury trials for a long, long time. In addition to getting through the COVID part of it, the criminal cases are going to be first in line when the jury trials start up again. They've had a few in scattered counties, but I don't think it's happening anywhere right now. And Chris, I thought maybe Chris could pop in and talk to us about what's going on in the city and Jefferson and St. Charles, because I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Well, the city, we are still trying to get everything processed. We're moving forward. The city has, I'm sure Kathy's covered in the last few weeks, is everything's been extended to match to the end of the year, meaning you can't actually use the sheriff to evict people for non-payment of rent. Now, there are exceptions to that supposed to be for these immediate evictions and for unlawful detainers based upon material lease violations not related to the non-payment of rent. I recently took a judgment where I have to get the specific language from the judge in there, and I'm still getting pushback from the sheriff's office. They seem to think it's only for 441. So, everything's a chore to get through. Right now, the bigger issue we're going to have is in January. We've been writing a special docket to have, a judge who's able to kind of help finesse things, move things along a little bit quicker. That goes away in January, as far as I understand it. So we are back in with the general population, and it's going to make, until things pick back up, particularly if they continue to limit the docket size, it's going to make things pretty slow in the city until they get back in person, which who knows. As far as the city, we don't know that the city order won't get extended. If I was to bet on it, I'd say it will, the way the COVID numbers are going. But who knows? We've got a new presiding judge. He could have a different take on things. As far as Jefferson, they're in phase 0. I talked to a clerk this week who said they had 18 court staff come down with COVID last week. So they are currently, everything I've been doing is pushed back till December 15th. I am not optimistic that we'll be hearing these cases on that date, but who knows? St. Charles is in phase 1, which means they're only hearing emergency stuff and landlord-tenant cases. And they're telling me they're probably going to be in that till the end of the year, unless things get worse and they would go down to phase 0. The St. Charles is the most normal as far as procedurally for landlord cases as any of these courthouses, but everything's kind of doing this kind of slow, and then it's always slow this time of year. Judges are always looking to get out of, push things off into the new year and this, that, or the other. So it's just kind of a slog. We're trying to get things done. People are, we are making deals. People are getting moving out. We're having to get creative, as we've talked about. It's it's a lot more work to be both a landlord and a landlord's attorney during when you're having to deal with 50 other new restrictions, and they change every week. So we're still filing cases. We're still trying to get things done. It's just my guess is we're going to have to hang out on this. I think what's going to happen is either the Congress or the courts are going to see April as this light at the end of the tunnel due to the vaccines, and try their best to keep folks moving from having to be evicted until then. The bigger thing, more pressing for any of you folks, is you may start seeing checks come in. The CARES Act money has to be spent by December 31st. So I know these agencies are getting desperate. They're giving out bigger checks than they were telling me early on in the process, because they have all this money and they haven't been able to do it. So they're giving it to who basically, if you comply with if you get through the whole process, they're basically giving you as much money as they could possibly, they're paying off debts. So they're in a rush, but I'm seeing more people getting checks than early on, because they now have more, they don't want to have to return the money. So watch out for that. Keep watching out if your tenants bring you, a sheet of paper from some charity, fill it out, because it could end up you getting a check in a couple weeks. And still encourage your tenants to apply. Again, I know some of the agencies, and particularly in the county, are running out, but the city still has money. So call them 211 and getting through the city. If you got tenants in the city, they still have money out there. It may, some agencies may be out, but there's a lot of them.
Thanks, Chris. I encourage everyone to check out the chat where Patrice has given an update on her case. And I know she's been working very hard to try to get the Urban League to cough up some bucks, and supposedly they finally have. And I appreciate her keeping us updated and keeping me updated of her journey. And let me go back to the writ for just a minute. I know I told you that if we lost the writ at the Missouri Supreme Court, we were going to file a federal suit, and we are doing that. We are working on that now. I'm not sure I'm in a huge rush to do it, but we're exploring a theory that hasn't really been covered in the other federal lawsuits that we've seen, which is a taking theory, where we're not necessarily asking them to let us evict people, although that may be one of our asks, but we're also going to ask an alternative that we be compensated for all this uncollectible rent that's mounting up. We're still in the beginning stages of that, but I'll have more on that for you by next week. So anybody have any questions or updates or anything else that we can talk to you about? I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you're all staying safe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're going to turn the corner soon. So if we hang in there just a little while longer, I think we'll be okay.
Kathy?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I came in 2 minutes late, and I apologize for that. I was on another phone call. I had a question. This is my first time even being listening to your Zoom meetings. You said something about like there's some type of court case or something that you're working on right now that to get us the landlords some money for all this back rent that these people owe us. Did you have to apply? Did the landlord have to apply in some way, or give you the information, or this is just blanket for anybody that's a landlord is what you're doing?
Well, we filed a writ to try to get the Court of Appeals and then the Missouri Supreme Court to make St. Louis County allow the sheriffs to evict people again. And we've lost on that at both courts, even though I think we did a great job. So now we're going to file a federal lawsuit asking that the evictions be started up again, and also asking that landlords who have been unable to enforce their judgments be compensated for the taking of their property. You don't really have to sign up for that per se. We have a test case that we're already going to use. We have a case where the tenant's been in for has a judgment from February. The landlord has a judgment from February, and there's been no payment, no movement. So we're going to use that case as our test case. And I will keep you guys posted as to whether or not I think you're going to be able to get compensated. In the meantime, if you have tenants who are not paying, as Chris was just speaking about, you want to make sure you call 211. There's a bunch of money, a bunch of federal aid money for evictions that's going to expire at the end of the year. So some of these agencies may have a fire lit under them to process these claims more quickly. So we encourage that you do that. Call 211 and see if you can get your tenants some rent assistance. And the basic deal with that is they pay it to the landlords. So if your tenant is not paying rent due to COVID, you can apply for this assistance. They can apply for this assistance, and the money should be paid to you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else got anything? What is the status of foreclosures? Foreclosures, yes, are allowed. Foreclosures in Missouri are generally non-judicial, which means although we do them at the courthouse, we don't have to go into the courthouse. And in fact, I've changed my foreclosure ads so they say outside. And I've been doing them. I wouldn't say there's a huge numbers right now, but there are definitely foreclosures. They are not, like I said, they're not, not required to go to court for that. It's all done by the foreclosure trustee. If you buy a property at foreclosure, or you take back the property when you foreclose on your own loan, then you have to file an unlawful detainer to get them out. In some jurisdictions like the city, we can evict on unlawful detainers. In the county, we can't evict on anybody. But if you were starting a foreclosure now, by the time you did the foreclosure and filed the unlawful detainer and got the judgment, hopefully, fingers crossed, we would be in a position where we'd be able to have the sheriff go out on it. And then there's also those fabulous remedies like cash for keys and, that kind of thing. Okay. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Kathy, Chris, can you create a Facebook page so I can recommend? Oh, I'm not on Facebook. Chris is laughing. We are actually working on a website right now, but thank you for doing that. I don't know, maybe Chris or Christine would do something on Facebook. We're trying to get just like a basic website up really in the next few days so that people can look on it and get our phone number and that kind of thing. The problem that we've had in the past, we've had websites, although not recently. And the problem is that a lot of tenants call and want us to represent them because we say we do landlord tenant work, or, people who are being foreclosed on, or people who want to file bankruptcy, and we don't do those things. So we're trying to make it really kind of more basic now, but we're working on that. And I will.
Facebook would just be tenants yelling at us.
Right. So we know that we need to do this. We're very grateful to all of you and everybody that we managed to get a lot of business just on word of mouth. We know we need an internet presence. It's just hard to work it out exactly how to do it so that it's not just a deluge of unwanted calls. I appreciate everyone who refers people to us. That's really helping us, particularly now. It's really great.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kathy, because we do have a Facebook page for STL RIA. It does take somebody time to get in there and look at it and sift and sort. And then you have to take the good with the bad. And that's something that I'm not willing to do because that's a lot of time consumption. I mean, some people love that stuff. That's not me. And I can understand. I don't have time to keep my own personal website up. So I can see where that would just take away from what you're doing, But it's a good point. Yeah. Best thing to do probably is what you're doing. It's my opinion, which doesn't mean much other than what I know of my own experience.
Well, I went to this thing for an organization I belong to, Commercial Real Estate Women. I went to this meeting they had back when we still had meetings, and they had a speaker about making your own brand on social media. And I was with my daughter, with Chris's wife, my daughter Bonnie, and they were talking about, like you had to raise your hand to talk about your Facebook page or your Instagram or your whatever else there is. And so my hand was down the whole time. And, they were saying, well, you have to, do all these things so that for your brand, you have to create your brand. And I said to Bonnie, I said, so what is my brand if I don't have any of these things? And she says, well, your brand is bad. And I said, that's good. That's good for me. I'm bad. That's my brand. Have that go around. So
perfect.
Call tree, press 2 if you're a tenant, and leave a voicemail, never returned. I know those are good suggestions, but the problem is that due to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, we have issues if people contact us and we don't respond. We can be liable in some ways. It's really a nightmare. This year, the Congress was considering exempting attorneys from the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, but they didn't do it. So we're still kind of hanging out there. It's true that act has protected some people, who have gotten harassed by debt collectors and, things like that, but it really gets in our way more than it helps either side in our cases. So we're still figuring out. And, we're still busy with work that we have, so that can't be bad, right?
Mm-hmm. As long as you get paid.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned it because I'm just about to do the end of the year printout of everybody that owes us money, to try to say to them, hey, did you forget about this invoice? You want to get it in before the end of the year?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you owe me money, I'm coming.
Press 2.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you guys. Okay, everybody good?
I think so. How was your Thanksgiving, Kathy?
My Thanksgiving was good. I actually picked up stuff at my parents and brought it home.
Oh, okay.
And then my birthday was last Saturday,
Oh,
and we took food to my parents and ate there. And Chris and Bonnie and their little boy Max, my grandson, came and just to drop off a gift and some great carrot cake. And Max had made me a Build-A-Bear Ruth Bader Ginsburg in a
oh,
little
oh,
robe and a white collar.
oh,
And when you press its
Wow.
little paw, it says, "I love you, Mimi," in Max's voice.
oh,
Yeah, I feel like
sweet
it's
is
the
that?
best birthday present I've ever gotten.
Oh
I'm
my
so
gosh.
thrilled.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's very special. Wonderful.
Yeah. So I hope everybody else's Thanksgiving was great and safe. And I
Oh,
know we're all pushing it a little bit for certain things, but
mhm.
try to be reasonable about it. We don't want to lose you.
Yeah. Yeah. We do the
It's been
best.
a long slog, but we're getting close.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you very much. And so, too bad I didn't know about your birthday, but happy birthday anyway.
Oh no, don't believe me. Like I said, that was the ultimate gift. I need nothing else.
Oh, well, just to acknowledge you, we just really
Yeah.
appreciate you, Kathy, and happy birthday to you. We wish you many more.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys too.
Mhm.
I'll see you next week, I guess.
Sure will. We'll be
Okay.
Sure.
we'll be here.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much. Thank you, Chris.